We are ready. Jeff, you want to give a quick intro of TechPrize and then.
Yeah, welcome everyone. Come to the TechPrize Biz Shop for the first time. Today's topic is about looking at digital mediums for marketing, particularly focused on small and startup businesses. We have a wonderful panel of individuals engaging with us today. We'll let them introduce themselves individually. But the goal for TechPrize is to be able to create ideas, create skills, launch those things right here in our community, and over time just greatly transform what our community is doing related to skills, products, things we make, things we do in our community, and that kind of thing. If you do that well, then in the future, every child that is born and graduates from the Racine Unified School District or into the privates is going to want to stay right here because we've got the jobs and that kind of thing. So with that, Karan, if we could, as our host for today, could we let you kind of kick it off for the substance of the day, and then we'll roll into it.
Sure. Thank you, Jeff. Good morning and happy Halloween, everybody. Thank you for joining us today in our TechPrize journey from idea to enterprise. So far in this series, we have learned how to come up and develop an idea for your startup using design thinking. We learned about how to secure funding for your venture, understand the legal considerations to establish your company, and learned about importance of business planning. So if you have followed all these steps, you should have a product and a company. But what's the most important thing that one must have to call itself a business? A customer, right? So how would they know that you have this wonderful product or service for them? Will they come if you build it? Probably not. Not in today's world when we have COVID-19 going on, right? So fact of the matter is 48% of consumers start their inquiries on a search engine. 33% look at the brand websites, and 26% search that on a mobile application. That's the power of digital marketing in a nutshell. So today, we have brought three of the very, very knowledgeable, successful entrepreneurs from our area. They are small business owners themselves, as well as they are the experts in digital marketing, and they live in our community, so they understand our community. So with that, we have Paige Waslowski. Did I pronounce it correct, Paige?
Yeah.
I only call her Paige.
You did a good job. Paige Waslowski. Yes.
Yeah. She is the co-owner of the Image Management. She's an author. She is a speaker. She runs her own business, and both business. Image Management is probably the first leading company in digital marketing in southeastern Wisconsin, helping so many brands in this region establish their digital presence. So Paige, welcome.
Thank you.
Secondly, I have Jeff Hunter. Jeff Hunter is from Kenosha. He is a marketing guru, has a marketing company. But most interesting is he has a very secret sauce that connects the digital marketing to the conventional marketing. I don't know whether he will be able to share much about that one over here, but he might share a few pieces of that. Along with that, he's also helping a couple other startups which are in a high-tech area. So all of them obviously would require digital marketing. He also is a CIO for those companies. And lastly, but not least, Neem Joshi, my friend and my business partner, is the CEO and founder of Designs Touch. Designs Touch is one of the top 5 SEO consulting company in southeastern Wisconsin. 100% of our new business comes from digital marketing. So having all three guys over here, let's start a discussion. Enough of me talking, and let's have these guys talking. So before we start, I know I introduced your companies the way I understood. but I think our audience would love to know about your businesses to your own interpretation. So Paige, you go first.
Okay, happy Halloween, everyone. I promised I would dress up, and here I am, not dressed up, but I was Cinderella yesterday, and I will be Cinderella later. So if you want to call me Cinderella, you can. But I'm pumped to be here again. I'm Paige from Image Management. Image Management was started by my parents back in 2001. So there is a little bit of nepotism, but I love it. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job with it because I'm really passionate about digital marketing. So thank you for having me on here. At Image Management, we are known as the masters of the website. And we've built over 1,000 websites as our big claim to fame. And a little bit about me is I did grow up in Racine, so I have a big heart for the Racine community. I left for school, so I spent a year in New York, and then I finished off my schooling at Pepperdine in California. And then I spent some time in Guatemala working with kids, and working with those kids, it really opened my eyes to the importance of family. So I decided to come back to really pour into the community that had poured so much into me growing up. And I've been here now for the last 6 years. So I just celebrated my 6-year anniversary at Image Management, LinkedIn was telling me. But yes, we focus on website development, and digital marketing is really our bread and butter, and really being able to serve businesses. And my name, Paige, not Cinderella today, but my real name, Paige, it means servant. And so that's something that I really try to live out with all of the clients that we work with, is how can I serve them? And how can I really grow their business, grow their brand, and grow their professionalism online, and grow their clientele as well. So like I mentioned, I'm blessed to be here this morning, and thanks for having me.
Thank
And
you.
then if somebody were trying to find you, where are you local to Racine? How would someone find you?
Great question. We're on Main Street, right on Main Street. And we have there's about 12 of us, 12 employees, and it's RUSD graduates, Gateway graduates, Parkside graduates. So when you work with Image Management, you're really working with community, other people who had graduated from the community. And we work really closely with the local schools as well, being able to pour into the teachers, pour into the different professors, and pour into the students. So that's one other note, is I do a lot of speaking with local schools and local colleges to their classes. And I wrote a book last year called Grow Up, Growing Your Business and Yourself. And actually some of the classes in the area have been reading that book, which has been really exciting and a big blessing for me. So
Well, congratulations
yeah,
on that.
Thank you. Yeah, we're right on Main Street. Come visit anytime. So 610 Main.
Jeff?
Well, I didn't come in a costume, and I won't be in one later today. But happy Halloween, everybody. Essentially, Access America is a company that helps other companies to grow purposefully by enabling them to deliver best practices and to gain access to capital while having the freedom to focus on their core value, which is innovation. I'll talk a lot about that here as I introduce our company, because innovation is an important concept to understand. Innovation is that unique value proposition your company offers to your customers, right? It's your core. It's your company's viability in the market. It's the reason you exist, right? When they start out and as they initially grow, many SMBs lose focus on their core. Those niggly little things start popping up, like accounting and marketing and those kinds of things, right? And they affect those things that set you apart from your competitors because you're defocused. And that's because it's really easy to become distracted by these contextual activities and things that don't add. And basically, you get in a situation where your market differentiation is disappearing, right? So to thrive, SMBs must really identify what's core in their business and what's context. Then they need to focus resources on core activities and outsource, automate, streamline, or eliminate any of those contextual activities that are in the way. Even though they're really important, and I'm not making an important distinction here that contextual is more important or less important than core, right? It's all has to be done well, but it's how you go about divvying up how those things get done is what's really important. So the topic of our discussion today, marketing, is a perfect example of this core versus context balance that companies need to make. In and of itself, marketing is a challenge, right? especially in markets that are changing and technologies are coming along. And the many activities such as value proposition development, market segmentation, messaging, brand development, and I could go on, right, require significant skill sets to do well, right? Everybody says, I know my customer, but that's not always true, right? Add to that the unfamiliar and complicated world of digital marketing, and unless your business is marketing, you have a perfect reason to find a partner for this contextual activity, right? And so finally, it's important to remember that these contextual activities often move in and out of your core business activities as you grow and develop your business, right? So what's contextual, you know, a year ago may not be maybe core next year, right? And digital marketing, those kinds of things could absolutely be an example of that. It might just be core to your business in the future. So think of Access America Group as a network of partners who provide best practice services to help grow your company. We work in areas, and Karan mentioned my secret sauce earlier, identity resolution services. I think that's a really, really important thing that we can get into in detail, but I'll just give a quick little overview. Essentially, I have technology that gives you the ability to identify people that come to your website and then to be able to market directly to them regardless of where they are, right? Multi-channel is essentially easy to do, and they don't have to actually opt into the process. All they have to do is visit your website. That then becomes first-party data, and therefore you have the legal opportunity to be able to market to them directly. And then, you know, we're also marketing, corporate strategy, business models, that kind of stuff, lead generation, professional services, contract management, project management, delivery, post-implementation support, websites, hosting support, that kind of stuff. And then we also have access to private funding and startup development. So those are all kind of the basic bag of tricks that you got to have in order to get a company started, and that's what we focus on.
Thank you, Jeff. Nim?
Hi, I'm Nim. I'm from Design Touch, local here in Racine. Our differentiate is our each and every project start with design thinking. We involve design thinking, start from the business analysis, and based on the analysis, we suggest the right solution for each and every client. So today's focus is mainly startups. So I'll start with the startups. So mostly when business start, any business starts, they're always stuck on the branding. They get married to so much their idea. So we help them from naming a business to how to create a strong brand. Regardless, if you don't have a strong brand and you try to do the digital marketing in all different channels, but you're not going to be successful. So your first step should be create a strong brand. And from strong brand, then we take it to the digital marketing. So it's the right steps we take from them. So we are here to help any startup. We are local Racine, so we also help a lot of startups. So we have done a lot of successful startup, help them from branding to take them to all the way to the level that we have their landed national level clients. We also offer mobile application through the again, it's all channel go through the digital design thinking process. So that's what our differentiation is. So today we are here to help, and we are local here. Thank you.
Thanks. So let's get to the meat of the discussion. But digital marketing sometimes looks like a very used coin with really blurring the definition. So I would say, I would like each of you to kind of give your interpretation of what digital marketing is, more than beyond just SEO and stuff like that. So Jeff, I'll start with you.
So you want me to define digital marketing?
Yeah, and how would you do that?
Yeah, so I see digital marketing as an execution of an overall marketing strategy, right? If you don't have a solid marketing strategy in place, as Nim was mentioning, brand image, value proposition, et cetera, then you don't have an effective digital marketing campaign, period, right? Pretty simple, garbage in, garbage out.
Nim?
Yeah, I agree with Jeff that you gotta have a strong digital strategy. So it's not about just the digital marketing, but there's a lot of, except as I mentioned earlier, branding, different channels, social media, and connecting with the right audience. So again, you need to think it through that it's whatever your strategy is, it should be for your target audience, not for yourself. Because as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people get married to their idea. So digital marketing is not just the promoting your business out there. It's, again, as Jeff mentioned, it's strategically approach. You gotta have a strategy. Otherwise, you would not have a ROI. It's, you gotta have a right KPI, key performance indicator. Based on that, you can measure your success. Otherwise, it's just you just promoting your business and you have no idea what's going on. It would be like just having a billboard, but you don't know what you were getting ROI. So strategy is the, you gotta start with the strategy before even thinking about digital marketing. And also, it's not about the only digital marketing. It should start from your business strategy, and business strategy, your digital marketing strategy should align with the business strategy. So
It is strategy. Know your customer, know your business, and then build the technology around that one. Great. Anything else to add?
I totally agree with what you both said. And I wanted to say too, Karan, that I loved how you shared different statistics in the beginning. And there was one other statistic that I had heard, that there are 3.5 billion Google searches a day. And so really making sure that your online presence is relevant and that you're showing up, but not just showing up for the right things is really important and really crucial. And so I loved how both Nim and Jeff touched on really figuring out the target market. And how do you do that? A lot of it really stems from even, are you business to business or business to consumer? That's one thing. What is your industry? What is your niche? And then really breaking it down by your customer, by gender and age and background and income and occupation, household size, generation and nationality. A lot of it really, when you can figure out and tailor exactly who is it that you're targeting, then from there, everything will stem from that. And so building your brand, it essentially is like a seed, and then everything sprouts from it, from the price, your price, or the type of services that you offer, and then also obviously how you market too. So we're talking about digital marketing here, and digital marketing can be really broad. And so what does that mean? Is that social media marketing, and what type of social media? Is that pay-per-click ads? Is it retargeting ads? And so everything really stems from that single seed of who is it that you're targeting? Because if you are targeting everyone, then that means that you're targeting no one. And so you want to figure out your niche. And then also, I love how we're talking about a brand, because if every single company and every single even person has a brand, and whether you know it or not, and if you have not strategically developed your brand, your mission, and your vision, it's already developed itself on its own organically then. So you want to be you want to build a brand for yourself before other people build it for you, especially with a product, with a service, or a business. And so I love how both Nim and Jeff were sharing the same thing.
So, and I've been there multiple times starting a business, and there are just so many things that's going on when you start a business, right? You're worried about your operational aspects of the business, as well as funding aspects, talking to the investors, all of those things. Well, that's going on. And then you have to also now think about digital marketing. So what is it that a startup business should think about, and why they should put digital marketing a priority over any other conventional marketing? Paige?
Oh, great question.
Why digital and why not? So it's really something that, both of them are going to cost money. So what are the key benefits of digital aspects for marketing, and why startups should invest in that area?
Yes. Yeah, great question. And the short an easy answer for that is because you can be as strategic as possible in terms of targeting. So let's look at image management, for example. We've been around since 2001. In the early 2000s, what were we doing for advertising? Were we doing digital marketing? No, because essentially it barely really existed. What we were doing is we were doing newspaper ads. We had a newspaper ad every single day, and they were seen in Kenosha newspapers. We were doing
Big billboards.
and we had big billboards. We were doing some really hokey TV ads, which we still dabble a little bit in TV, but while it's still somewhat relevant, but I won't go into that rabbit trail. But the most important thing that a business can do is digital marketing, because you can get the most bang for your buck, and then you can also target very strategically, and that ties into who is it that we're trying to reach. And so this is something that I speak to my students often when I'm speaking to different college classes and high school classes, is just try to really make it easy and break it down for them. So I'll give them a product or a service, and I'll say, okay, now who are we trying to target with that? And so I'll oftentimes give them something fun, so it would be something targeted to them. And so I would share, if I'm targeting to a high school class like you guys, am I going to market differently than if I was targeting to a middle-aged business owner? Yes, I would. And so really making sure that we are being as thoughtful as possible before doing any digital marketing. But once you've nailed down that brand and nailed down that customer, that perfect customer or perfect client, then from there you can it can be somewhat easy to think, okay, how should they find me? Is it through social media? Is it through Google? And if you type into Google, where should I? The first three, at least I did this recently, the first three things that pop up is, where should I live? Where should I work? Where should I go to college? Those are huge things. And so if people are Googling for those things, they're going to Google for small things too, like a service or a product that you can offer. So, and especially in the local area, targeting to the local Racine and Kenosha area through digital marketing, a lot of people will come alongside you, and there's a strong sense of community in the area. And so just getting started, getting the ball rolling in terms of even creating a nice website for yourself, creating a nice social media presence, and then doing some online advertising, it pays off in the area.
So following on that one, Jeff, it's very interesting that many of the businesses that you are involved in are very specific to a very specific community, to your high-tech businesses. How do you think through the digital marketing for that type of businesses, those type of businesses versus normal consumer businesses?
I'm sorry, ask that question again. I'm not quite sure I'm following.
So your businesses that I know, the other two businesses that you are involved in now, they are highly technical. So their audience is very, very narrow and focused, right? So how do you think digital marketing when you think about such a narrow focused market segment?
For a narrow focused market, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to be able to dig into what I call the mind of the customer. You've got to be able to understand who they are, where they are, and what they're doing. I think we've already kind of hit on that message earlier. But the key thing is to boil it down so that you understand their perceptions, their motivations, and their buying process that they want to go through this, so that you understand where to reach them. And I think this is regardless of which vertical you're looking at, right? Which business model you're working under, you still have to understand those aspects. And then it's a matter of a pretty significant process to kind of boil through things. So there have to be a lot of assumptions that you have in place before you even really start a digital marketing effort, right? You have to assume that you have a solid product, that you can deliver on your value. You have to fully understand and truly understand your value proposition. You know, why should I buy from you instead of the other guy? And you have to fully understand that buyer's journey, as I mentioned. You know, that process that goes from who are you to I have to buy your product. Those are really critical steps to understand. And there's a whole series of communications that need to occur along that sequence of conclusions, that from just learning who you are and what you are and all the things that matter as I go through my decision-making process, right? And then, you know, from taking the next steps on that, it's all about what's your budget and your ROI, right? That's a really critical step that most people don't think about. You know, well, I'm going to go do digital marketing. I'm just going to start pulling out the big guns and firing off. I'm going to throw a lot of money at this and make tons of leads and all that kind of stuff. But digital marketing is one of those really insidious traps that you can lose a lot of money very quickly if you're not smart about how you go about doing it, right? So you've got to be able to understand those kinds of things. And then you've got to boil it down to, you know, what are you selling, right? The base marketing, message, brand, campaign development, we've talked about that already. But then who are you selling to? And Paige talked about that a little bit, market segmentation, but even going beyond that into list building and all that kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, for digital marketing, data is the key. It's electronic, right? It's digital. That's what the word digital means, right? So you've got to be able to understand how you're going to build your list, how you're going to target your people, how you're going to walk them through all the stuff that I've talked about already in terms of processes and all those kinds of things. And it can be very challenging. And then there's also the question of why should they buy, right? Market differentiation, competitive analysis, SWOT, all those kinds of things have to be considered as part of the process of trying to establish where you are, you know, and then where will you, and that all has to be done before you start having a conversation about where will I present my message, right? Oh, I need to do Facebook. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe it is a billboard on the side of the road or TV ads, as Paige is saying, you know, old marketing techniques are still effective. So you drive along any road, you know, watch any TV program, you're going to see that kind of stuff. But the cool thing about the digital technology, especially the identity resolution stuff, is it allows you to reach out and connect with the customer as if you're doing one-on-one marketing. And that's a really powerful mechanism when you can understand specifically who you're dealing with as opposed to generally, right? You know, the classic way of doing digital marketing has been spray and pray, right? I got a general message I'm going to send out to 1 million people, and hopefully I'll get a 0.0001% response, and I'll end up with some leads. Well, that's becoming less and less effective every single day. So you've really got to understand how are you going to do that? And there are so many channels to choose from, right? You got pay-per-click, social media, email marketing, your own website, content marketing, SEO, word of mouth marketing, influencer marketing. That's becoming a big channel these days where, especially for us in dealing with the cell phones for Acumen, is influencer marketing. I think it's going to be a really important aspect of our product. And, you know, even cold calling, billboards, TV commercials, those kinds of things. The cool thing about TV commercials is that's becoming digitally enabled in the marketing arena. So I can have somebody visit my website and then present to them specifically a specific commercial about my company. That's really a good example of the power that digital marketing has today. Now, do you get there overnight? No. you gotta work yourself through the process, and especially if you're a small to mid-sized business, you gotta seriously think about budgets and how you're going to do that. So you really got to do the old strategy thing first and kind of figure out all those things that I first mentioned about, you know, budget and what are you selling, who are you selling to, all those kinds of questions first, and spend the money and effort to hire somebody that can help you actually work through those specific types of exercises to get to that information that allows you then to act.
Thank you. So, you know, Jeff covered so many different aspects of the digital marketing and along with the traditional marketing. As you know, when we launched the Hometown app, we learned that almost 50% of the businesses in our target market did not even have a website. So there was
an email address.
Right? And I looked up and then found out the statistics nationally. Still, 44% of the small businesses do not have a website. So the Racine community is not too far away from national trend, which kind of comes to mind saying, if I'm a small business, I'm challenged with everything else, should I, before jumping into digital marketing aspect of it, do I just take the website as the aspect of digital marketing and focus on that? And more on top of that, should I invest big bucks on the website, or should I do those easy to build, freely available website? Is that a good way to start in digital marketing? Name?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to go back for your previous question about the why companies should start with the digital marketing. Think about it, the power of digital marketing versus the conventional marketing. If any new business starts with digital marketing, you have the power of targeting, as Paige mentioned. If you start up in Racine, if you know the community, you can reach out to the community. So based on the right keyword, you can choose your target area. And the power is you can serve the right target audience by your geographical, your demography. So that's where the importance of the digital marketing that every business should think about it. Now come to your question about what was your question again? Could you please elaborate again?
So we can talk about all of the advantages of digital marketing and doing a digital strategy, but if almost half of the business don't even have a website, can they jump into digital marketing? Should they do a digital marketing strategy first and then get the website, or they should wet their hands and get used to the digital aspect by building a website?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier too, you're right. Before jumping into any digital presence, they should always establish a strategy. And by strategy, by means even a small business, even a small corner store, they should have started with thinking about how they're gonna create first a brand. The reason I'm saying is you could have your logo looking different on a Facebook page, or your website logo could be different, and the colors are the difference. So your target audience, or whoever arrived on the website and they go to your social media, they think that it's two different businesses. So it's very important to start from strategically first, and then decide what web presence is important for you. Maybe Instagram is right for you, or maybe the Facebook is right for you, or Twitter, based on your target audience. But the very first step is to establish the social media channel and then jump onto the website. That would be the right channel, because for a small business, maybe they might have a budget constraints, but at least having a social media presence, they have some kind of a digital presence. And even using some preset template website, they can create a nice website. But again, it's good idea to reach out to some professionals. The reason why, because you think that if you think that you can judge by artistically or brandingly, if somebody's writing your website, if your website is not professional and looks really bad, people would leave right away, and they would not get the impression that if their website is bad, how they're gonna serve the professional services, or provide the product. So it's very important to have at least consult an agency who provide the free consultancy and learn at least something about those small aspects of why it's important to have a good presence. So that's what even social media, people they need a brand, because even if you just create a small, let's say if you start with a Facebook page, but you don't have any branding elements, people are not gonna recognize, because at the end of the day, you wanna create that make impression and make people remember your brand, and that's how they're gonna remember. But if you have just simple Facebook page and you have no branding elements to it, people are not gonna remember you. So that's very important to start from the creating even a small brand, and then start from the different channels.
Yeah, I'd say that one of the important things to consider in this conversation is the business model and the revenue streams, right? If you're a small one-person shop with minimal skills and little money, then it's all about cost, and it's all about what's the minimal thing that I need to do to generate a lead. But if you're a going business with a working business model and you can invest, then it's a whole different strategy in terms of how you go about getting that accomplished. And one of the things I would say is that this is probably the most important, bold underscore, make it red kind of statement, is never develop a website without doing your marketing, digital marketing strategy first. The website is actually the output of all that effort, because and I've been through this so many times where you're trying to develop a website, you don't really have a clear understanding of the message that you're communicating. So therefore, the images that you put on the website are generic. And I mean, there are so many just horrible websites out there with, just, and then there's the thing like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. I mean, I've seen websites with those big circles and all the little things that respond to your mouse. I mean, it's really cool technology, but what's the message? What's the image that you're trying to portray to me there? Is that you know how to install a plugin that does something like that? That's not important. It's more about the message. Just make it about me, right?
Yeah, I agree, Jeff.
Yeah, that's we see it all the time. Customer comes and they have all these ideas about that, and we ask a simple question: so why do you want a website? And they actually literally go silent. They can't answer that, right? Paige, you are the masters of website, and then because you are such a bigger brand in the community, the smaller businesses, when they come to you, how do you guys help them in building the digital strategy that they must have before they invest in a website?
Yeah, great question. And those are my favorite clients to work with, actually, are smaller organizations in the local area, whether it's a company or it's a nonprofit. Those are my favorite. And so, and I think that they just really need the most help too. And so that's why we were talking even before we were recording this, that life is really short, and so we need to make the most of this life. And I want to do everything that I can through image management to be able to help people. That's really why I'm doing it, is I'm here to help people. And when I was spending that time in Guatemala after I graduated from college working with kids, it really opened my eyes to what this life is all about. It's to help people. And so that's why I do what I do, is to help organizations, whether it's a big organization or it's someone small that's just getting started. And so it's very crucial to help develop their brand, starting with the target client, and then from there everything stems. So whether it's like a color scheme, for example. So I just met with a client a few days ago that was in the healthcare industry, and we were talking about colors, and they mentioned red. Is red a good color for the healthcare industry? No. Let's backtrack. Let's talk about maybe some blues, some calming colors. So even just little things like that, if someone hasn't if someone's not in the professional world and hasn't studied these things, then it's going to be very easy to stumble into a mistake of something that they just like. Oh, I like the color red. It's a power color. Yeah, that is a power color, but in the healthcare industry, that's just not going to work. And
yeah, in the big companies, they even have this kind of problem, right? So go back to the 60s and 70s. There's a story of General Motors taking the Nova, which was a very successful
Chevy Nova
product, down to Mexico, and the name of Nova that actually has a Spanish meaning, which means doesn't go.
Not moving, yeah.
Not moving. It's not good. Think about that.
Right. Yeah, and I've actually got another story too. So we've all heard of Taco Bell. Do you remember the Chihuahua? Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Yeah.
So that was in the early 2000s,
Right.
and it lasted a couple years, and they realized that it was not working. Their taco sales were going down because people loved the Chihuahua, loved Gidget the Chihuahua, but people did not like associating the Chihuahua with their tacos. And you want to know what's hilarious about it? Is that Chihuahua sales rose astronomically during those years.
Right.
So Taco Bell found that it was just selling Chihuahua
Whoa.
as opposed to
Not their product. Yeah, I love it.
Yep. And
Love
so,
it.
the Chihuahua Society of America actually begged Taco Bell to at least keep selling Gidget on their website. And so they did that for a while. But you have to figure out what's the best way for me to target. And even one other kind of cool story is Coke. So we've all heard of Coca-Cola. And you may have seen on the Cokes, it'll say someone's name. So it'll say Paige or Jeff or Nim. And you buy it because it's like, oh, it's my name. They were doing that for a few years, and you want to know why they stopped doing that. They shifted just slightly because they realized that they were missing out on a whole other target. And what is it that they shifted? They realized, okay, people are going to buy it if it's their name. I'm going to buy it if it says Paige. But how can we get it so that everyone that knows Paige will buy it for her? And so they actually added these couple words, which made a big difference. It no longer just stamped a person's name on it. It said, share a Coke with. So that means that everyone who, not only Nim would buy it for himself, but everyone who knows Nim is going to buy it for him. And so being very strategic about those little things as a big company or as a small company, if you can create that from the first couple steps of the race of your business, then that's going to be a lot more helpful. And there was someone, I can't remember who it was, but they said that building a business is really similar to jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down. But if we can start creating that brand and start creating that metaphorical airplane before they take that leap, then that's going to be a lot, they're going to be able to be a lot more streamlined and intentional about the money that they use, as well as the brand that they create.
Correct, Paige. You're right. As Jeff mentioned, it's to start from the naming the business. I like Chevy Nova. I mean, if you are targeting Spanish and not movie, people are not gonna buy it. And also, as you mentioned, you're right. Naming the color. I mean, choosing the right color, naming the right business. Even the logo. I have seen so many people that there's one client. It was in a investigation security business, and the logo looked like a cookie, and it's just, I mean, it doesn't serve the purpose. So you're right. It's our job to educate the client and help them out.
Well, I think one of the things that small businesses should seriously think about is they consider just their overall marketing strategy, right? Is what's my ROI? Where am I going to get the bang for the buck, right? And it's all about leads and bringing leads into your conversion process. And do you actually have a conversion process? Do you know what to do with a lead when it comes to the website? Does it go to somebody specific? Do you have a group that handles it? Do you have a CRM in place to handle it? I mean, there's a lot of things to think about and try to work yourself through to get to. And if you have all those tools in place and you start off with ROI as a mentality, then you've got metrics and things that you can use to measure your success on. And that then tells you whether you're doing something right. That gives you the ability then to start small in a particular channel, do a few things, spend $100 a day or $100 a month or whatever your budget is, right? And then to be able to track that success. Am I generating leads from that? Oh, no, I'm not. Okay, let's go to another channel, right? Or maybe you try multiple channels at once, but not too many, right? So you don't spend too much money. And you work through that process. And then one of the things that we haven't touched on in our conversation yet is just the conversion process, right? So it's all about conversion. What is that conversion ratio? If I send you 1,000 leads, and then you acquired those leads at $1 a piece, were you able to convert them? Oh, no, I wasn't able to convert a single one. Well, then that was a waste of money, right? You need to figure out a better way of doing that and trying to figure out how to do it. So how you convert those leads and all that kind of stuff, and all the supportive technologies that come into play are all part about that.
Yeah, we will get to the ROI part later, but before that, I want to kind of bring in, now that we are putting in some of the technical terms in there, so let's jump into the technical terms of social media, because if I Google what a digital marketing strategy would look like, I get these 7 things all the time: the search engine optimization, the pay-per-click social media marketing, content marketing, email marketing, mobile marketing, marketing analytics. Whoa, that's a lot, right? For a small business person who may not be even technical to learn all of those things. And Nim, you said that you got to start with the social media. If we were to start with social media as one of the digital marketing strategy, and you talked about brand, what else do I have to do as a small business? Don't have time to come to you or Paige with a big company and stuff like that. I am doing everything by myself. What is it that I would do? What are the simple steps in getting oneself into social?
You're not going to like my answer to that question. Don't. If you're not going to get help, and if you don't understand how to do it, and you're not going to get, you don't work on your own car unless you're a mechanic, right?
Right.
So why go and try to put together a digital marketing strategy, or even branding your company and all those kinds of things? Everybody thinks that they're the expert in their market, but people go to school for this stuff, right? 4 years, even more, right? And so hiring that expert to help you get through the process is no different than hiring an expert to work on your car or build your house.
Yeah, as Jeff mentioned, you right, Jeff, because a lot of time when the clients come to you and then they say, how can I do this? How can I do this? And I have to tell them like, yeah, I mean, obviously you can do so much stuff, but then there's a limit because you cannot do everything, right? Because you have a limitation, you have a business to run. And we are here to create a strong digital presence and help you, but not to teach you how to do the things, right? For instance, I'll give you an example. When you ask a client that, hey, you need a nice video for your presence, YouTube channel you need. You also want to have a video on your on a website. So that client will come to you that, okay, how do I make a video?
So you gotta learn Adobe Premiere.
Yeah. So I'm just telling you. So if somebody comes to your house to fix your window, like, hey, why don't you teach me how to fix it? The rest of them I'll do it by myself. So just teach me the how to install one window. I'll take care of it. I'll pay you for one window. So it's just like it doesn't work that way. So
Can I interrupt for a second? So, I'm a participant and a listener here, and we're speaking today to startups and we're speaking to small businesses. And these are people with limited means, right? They're every penny counts right now.
Correct.
And now while I hear this comes across as a pitch that source me. I'll tell you how to do it. Well, I don't have much money right now. I'm a startup. So walk me between that idea of the startup and then the point where I have the budget to afford that expertise. But one thing I want to say before I do that is I've had the experiences personally where the decision maker, as Jeff Hunter said, believes they know their market better than anybody. But the problem is I see them making mistakes over and over that those with more experience can understand that don't do that one, please. That message is going to be received poorly, such as the example of the Nova and that kind of thing. So just, again, we're speaking to small and startup businesses. How do you get between the point of idea and the point of I can forward you all?
Okay, I can answer that if you don't mind. And so this might sound like a little bit of a plug for me, but I'm going to say two things. Okay. So the first thing is the book that I wrote. That's a big reason that I wrote it. So again, it's called Grow Up, Growing Your Business and Yourself. And so I literally, every chapter I talked about how a different business leader actually grew up from childhood to adulthood. Even someone like a Walt Disney, how come he made it and other people didn't? But I break down what they did and then I make it practical in today's world for this is how you create a brand. This is how you really start your business. This is how you can do digital marketing on your own, because that's what I wanted to do is share what I had been learning over the last 10 years and create a book so that someone could read it and really do it themselves. And so that's one example of a way that someone can pay $6 on Amazon and learn some tools. Another way for someone that's local and that just wants to get their name out there and their business or organization out there in a way that's low cost is, and this may sound bad because I do want to say hire us, obviously, but at the same time, even just have a young person, maybe in their 20s, just look and see what you were thinking about doing before you do it and just make sure that it is somewhat relevant. One example of that is I went, and I'm not going to say the business, but I went to a business last night and it was like a, I don't want to give it away, but it was a local business and it was, they really did a good job. It was an organization, a group of women where you pay and you come to this thing and you do something. And so I won't go into what it is, but it's a great local business and it's really fun and they're really good at it. And there's a lot of women that want to come to this. And I said, how can I find out how often these are? And they said, oh, come to our website and you can sign up. And so I was excited. Even this morning, I went onto their website. It was created by Wix, I will say, and I couldn't see a thing because it said in order to see this website, you have to download Flash. And I was like, oh my word, forget it. Like, I'm not doing this. Are they kidding? They're so good at what they were putting on last night, but yet they're so bad at their online presence to the point that like I have to download Flash on my brand new Mac laptop that is so old school. No, I'm not doing that, and so why? Yeah. And so that's just a great example of someone who's doing a great job at what they're doing. And they say you can never compete at the highest level of something unless you're deeply passionate about what you do. So figure out what you're passionate about. And it was Kat Cole. She's the president of Cinnabon. And she said, if you don't use your voice, then someone is waiting behind you who will. So figure out what you're good at, figure out what you're passionate about, and do that, and use your voice to share that, especially in our community. We want local businesses. We want people to be excited about what they're doing. We don't want them to be scared that they can't even get started because they don't have the funds for it. So do what it is that you're good at, but make sure that your online presence at least works and is at least somewhat relevant. And so we get calls from people who, maybe just have an idea and they'll say, well, what do I do? I don't, I'm doing this all on my own. And there's great resources, even with like Gateway. So I'm on the Gateway Advisory Committee for the marketing department. And so I'll give them just an option or a suggestion. Why don't you call Gateway and maybe just have someone kind of look over what you're doing for free? And so that's an example. But obviously, if you have an established brand, an established business, even like the organization I went to last night, they probably should have came to Nim or Jeff or I, because you want your website to work, and you don't want to be sharing the wrong message. But so that would be my answer for that. So thank you, Jeff, for bringing that up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Could I jump in for just a second, Carolina? It's a great question, Jeff, and it's one that's difficult to deal with because it's not simple, right? There's a lot going on in the digital world these days. Lots of channels to choose from, and the channels are easy to throw your credit card at, and you can rack up a bill overnight, literally, and be in a place where you go, why did I do that, kind of a thing. So I think the challenge is really one of business model. And if your business model doesn't afford you the ability to fund the kind of activities necessary to be able to build the strategies that we're talking about, then really is it, you got to really kind of step back and say, is this the right business for me? You know what I'm saying? And if you still feel it's a business you want to do and you just want to operate at that smaller level, then there are a lot of things that you can do to get started in a slow way. Facebook is one of those certainly one of those opportunities to be able to put up a page and have that social sharing kind of a thing going on. But even that requires a level of learning, right? It's not something you just step into and all of a sudden you've got leads coming from Facebook. Where are those leads going to go? How are they going to be treated once they land, right? And if you build your website like Paige, that's a great example, Paige, of a tactical error in execution. You might have a really great website built, but if it's not built to catch the lead and process it properly, you've just wasted money. So it's a hard question to answer, Jeff.
And having a bad presence actually make it worse for your business. Actually, it's not to have any web presence. If you are bad web presence, gonna really backfire on you. So it's gonna show like amateur. You're amateur and you're just trying everything, and that's what you apply in your own business too. So as Paige had a really great impression about this organization, and then when she went to the website, she's like, oh my God. What impression she got? She's like, oh no. So it's very important to even small business need to understand that at least have some kind of a professional branding, even hire somebody to even pay small graphics to upload it on their even to small Facebook. At least have some kind of a professional presence.
The other thing I'd throw out there, Jeff, is there's massive amounts of information on the web. And there's a website called marketingexperiments.com, which is run by a guy by the name of Jay Abrams. And it's just unbelievable the kinds of things that they do and have for free. There's a massive, just hundreds of hours of videos out there talking about setting up web pages and structures and all that kind of stuff. That's if somebody truly wants to get in and understand the nitty-gritty of digital marketing and actually do it themselves, that would be a good place to start.
Also, as a Paige mentioned, how she is on our advisory board in Gateway. So a lot of time, even small business can reach out to the Gateway and then ask them like, hey, this is my project, Facebook. I don't know where to start it from. I need help. So even this teacher can tell a student, hey, this is the kind of class today. And here's the social media. They need to design a logo for this company. They design some kind of cover and social media artworks for all different channels. help them set it up. So that can help too. Yeah.
Another thing that you could do, and Paige mentioned Gateway. You know, a lot of the universities have study programs where they'll give you access to their marketing class, for instance, to do a project for you. That is it's not like engaging a company, because it's not done at your timing; it's done on their timing. But it is a way to get access to that knowledge base, you know, through the instructor and in the textbooks that they're using and that kind of stuff, at some level of success.
And it would be a lot better than doing it yourself and judging like, okay, I can do better. So,
Yeah.
It'll be a lot better web presence.
Thank you very much for that lively discussion, because I know I put that question purposely in that one. The summary, what I got out of this discussion is, no, don't do it yourself, because you won't go and do yourself your own root canal. It's as bad as that, right? And the beauty of this one, I know we at Design Stars do it, and the image management, and Jeff Hunter, you said as well. All of the companies in our area, all the commercial companies, they may be big name, they may be, you may get overwhelmed by their presence, but every company that deals with digital marketing in Racine Kenosha market, all of those companies, just go talk to them. It doesn't cost to talk to them. They will guide you to start with. And then plugging for our sponsors, educational sponsors, Gateway as well as UW Parkside, both of them have programs, and they have helped many small businesses do this at much lower cost. So don't try to do it yourself.
Hey, Kiran, I would like to add something here. As Jeff mentioned, you know, there's a lot of information out there. People can find it. There's a website out there, but it could be very information overload for any people. They will be going crazy, like, oh my God, what to do, what not to do, where to start. So it's, as Kiran mentioned, it's a good idea to reach out to the local businesses, at least have a consultancy, at least somewhat that will give you somewhat idea where to start. Otherwise, if you go online and try to Google it and learn by yourself, you'll be overwhelmed. It's so much information.
Your time is a bit.
Ron, can I try to, you know, I've been taking notes as I go here, and I'm going to capture where we are at the moment, if that'd be all right. So topic number one is we're here today to talk about digital marketing. We're smaller, a startup business. The group said, first off, you have to have a marketing strategy before you just go out. A marketing strategy starts with, who am I? That's a brand. After that, you then need to understand, who am I seeking? My customer. So is my customer Johnny down the road, or Janie, or is it the whole world? And who is that person, and how do I find them? So once you have that, then you come to, now I'm going to have a marketing strategy. Okay, and so inside of that, we have a conventional strategy, paper, television, billboards, word of mouth, so on and so forth. And we also have these new things called digital strategies. And I recognize that to get into this in depth, all the topics of everything from Facebook to Twitter to the website and all those kind of things are further in-depth topics that Karan, it may be good to come back to that. But so then at that point, you said that the digital marketing, you want to start by taking that brand, creating a website so that people can find you, that says who you are and how to work with you. Once you have that, then you want to have a way to reach out and find your customers, to find them so that you connect them to you. And so then if I'm small and I'm a startup, Paige represented a great book, $6 on Amazon. Paige, say the name of the book.
It's called Grow Up, Growing Your Business and Yourself. And so you can just type in my name too, Paige Wisłowski. So, and you know what, if you're in the local area and you just want one, you can pop into our company, 610 Main Street, and I'll just give you one. I can even sign it if you want. It'll be on me.
Great. So that's a roadmap, right? That says, here's where I am, and I'd like to end up over here on the other side, and here's how I'll go about that. And so, you know, learning the language, thinking about your brand, you know, you can start up, but what each of these professionals has said to you is they've seen so many people over and over not understand what they're doing, and they hurt themselves. So, just trying to develop that budget that allows you to work with the professional to help you get over that hump and start to create those connections, which creates revenue for you. So that's kind of what I heard is where we are right at the moment. Then the next discussions would be, okay, now I want a digital market. I've got my brand ready. I've built that website. I want to go reach those people. I now have all of these mediums that I can go hit, such as Facebook, Twitter, and all those kind of things. Karan, are we going to take that on right now, or are we going to come back to that as a follow-up topic?
We would have some introductory discussion on that one, but not deep over here. The message that really the guests are giving us right now is it may feel simple, but don't try to do it yourself because you'll be doing a disservice to your business. But we're going to, and actually you gave me a very good point to go to my next question, which is really explaining some of those channels, what they are, so they have a high level understanding of those channels. So I'm going to take one by one those channels, and if you guys can give a very brief answer for a person who has no idea about digital marketing, and tell them what they are and what is in it for them, right? So let's start with the very first item that always comes on top when we talk about digital marketing is search engine optimization. What is it? Why should I care about it? And without using too many technical terms.
What was which one?
Search engine optimization. Okay.
Search engine optimization. Okay.
Nim?
All right.
Yeah, so it's a web presence, or let's say not use any technology terms. So it's get found on various search engine organically. Organically by means not paying any paid advertising, for instance, social, Google ads or Facebook ad or any digital ad. So the way you design and put the right keywords for your services, your offering, and create your website that can be found when people search for the right keyword. For instance, you're a roofer and you provide a local Racine roofing company. You provide a metal roof, somebody put the metal roof in Racine, you can be found without any paid. That is a search SEO, search engine optimization.
Paige, you want to add anything?
Yep. Yeah. So SEO, I always think a way to remember is SEO versus SEM. I think the O, it stands for optimization, but I think organic, that's your organic ranking. And SEM, which is, that's actual paid advertising. I think of it, the M at the end is like money. You got to pay money for that. But SEO, yeah, that's huge. It's really huge, is your organic ranking of your website. And so we were talking earlier about the importance of Google, the importance of online search engines. And you want to be able to show up, right? You want to show up, and there's so many factors that go into that. A main one being the SEO level of your website. And so are you incorporating those right keywords? Are your images small enough that it's not taking making your website load page take forever, the load speed take forever? There's just so many different intricacies. And if you create a website on your own, chances are very good that the SEO is not going to be professionally done, and it's not going to be anywhere near where it could be. And so we can look at a website and think, oh, this looks great, but Google, for example, looks at a website much differently. It sees things that our eyes cannot see. So how is this website built in the back end? Are there meta descriptions that are correct? Alt tags? Is the content is there continually added content that's making the website relevant? And then even the traffic, are you driving enough traffic to the website that Google's going to see, okay, this is a reputable resource? Or is your website taking 10 seconds to load, so no one's even staying on it long? The bounce rate is really quick. So Google's seeing, we don't want to send people to this website because it's taking forever to load and no one's even going to it. So SEO is something that's very important in today's world. It's growing in importance too. And that's something that that we really focus on at our company.
So from what I learned was, you're saying that SEO is how I get found on the website. Just because my site looks pretty, it doesn't mean it will be found. and it can be done. You don't really have to pay advertisement to be found. You just have to write the right stuff, right? The content, right?
Yeah, if you ever want to see what your website looks like to Google, open up a page, do a right click and say view source. And you'll see nothing but just gobbledygook. It looks like the Matrix, right? It's just full of characters. That's what Google looks for. Looks at when it searches your website.
SEO is another strategy too. So it's we're talking about more general terms. I think throwing too much so much technical jargon would really confuse audience. I would say simple is organically found, but there's a lot of components. As Paige mentioned, there is a metadata, there is a page speed, how content is good. Is it content has H1, H2 tags? It's so deep. So the basic is here. At least write a good web copy. Have very less. Let's say not upload the image as Paige mentioned. You just take a picture, you're gonna upload it. It has to be downsized. It has to be low resolution image without losing any quality. Those components gonna help you rank better in a search engine. If you're doing it by yourself, this could be a learning curve. So,
Name and Page, question for you. So if people, a small business, they may already have a website and they might have done work, can they come to you and can you tell us if they are doing good job on SEO or not, and any pointers without spending lots of money?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, Paige.
Yeah, it's probably similar with NIM that if someone has an existing website and they are just looking for a monthly SEO plan, then that's certainly something that we can do and do for many clients. Yeah, and so basically someone can come with a nice looking website, and then it's a lot of dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's in terms of making the website SEO friendly. And so SEO is really something that you want to keep up with too. You don't want to just build a website and then forget about it. It's very similar to a car. So they say that you really websites, I think the average lifespan of a website is a little over 2 years. It's like 2.9 years, I think. But generally, we say just so that it's bearable in terms of cost wise, we say it's like a car. Every 5 years, you want to take a really good look under the hood. We say probably you want a new website at least every 5 years. But think of your car. You got to put gas into it constantly. You have to get the oil changed. So you really want to make sure that your website is relevant and is staying. You may be at the top organically for what it is that you do, but your competitors are doing their best to try to get to the top. And so you want to make sure that you're consistent with the SEO, and that's something that we certainly offer for people that have an existing website or if they want us to create a new website for them.
Yeah, hey Kiran, to answer your question, that we help clients with the SEO, and it starts with the auditing the website. We complete audit the website. We find out where the issues are, and based on the audit, we suggest. And as Paige mentioned, that she's right. Every 2 years, you gotta look under the hood, and maybe you need a new car. So website, as the new technology comes, users behavior change, the way they navigate, way they explore your website, even a mobile application. So based on that, every few years, you gotta come up with a new UX user experience. Based on that, you gotta design the new website. But yes, Kiran, we do the audit the website and then suggest the right strategy. So it's not just you just comment that, okay, you gotta do strategy.
Is that a lot of investment?
If I could jump in for a second on this, one of the things I'd recommend considering is that given the technology today is so rapidly evolving,
Correct.
And the consideration that the search engines care about new content, they care about evolving content, they care about content depth and all those kinds of things, is that your website really needs to kind of constantly change, right? The more it changes, in fact, up to a point, the better Google rewards you in terms of moving you up the rankings. So if you're posting articles, let's say, you need to do an article or two every week. And it depends again on your market. So you might have to do more content development to really be impactful in the market if everybody else is doing the same thing. But it's that process of constantly evolving the conversation that you're having with your customers and evaluating how they move through your website. I mean, we talked about conversion briefly, but conversion is probably one of the most important focus areas to look at on your website. Is what is the buyer's journey? I click on something on a search engine. Where do I go? Do I land on your homepage? And that's not the right place, right? That needs to be a conversation that starts with whatever I clicked on. That needs to be the next thing that I see, not your homepage. So if I click on projection phones, for instance, then I would like to see a web page that talks about the best projection phone on the planet, which is Acme, by the way. And so, it's just that conversation, right? How do I move that person through the process, an evolution of discovering my product and my company and coming to the conclusion they should buy from me? And then all these things that we've talked about, all the strategy, the ROI, the development of content, the SEO, the SEM, website optimization. We didn't really talk about that, but all this stuff rolls together to become the mechanism that helps us to acquire and capture customers.
So yeah, it's not only just the creating the website and having the SEO optimized content. It's just constantly, as Jeff mentioned, you gotta create a lot of good content too at the same time, and content has to be the users, how it's gonna help end user. It's not because you create a content's sake of make a search engine happy that, okay, I'm creating a new content from searchengine.com and then rank my website. So actually how users are engaging, is it a useful content? Is content gonna help target audience? Those are the content gonna help you. So it's not just putting a website, do the SEO, and then you forget about it. It's constantly work going on.
Yeah, we talked about search, and I can see that we could actually have one whole session on SEO, but I do have to cover other 6 strategies.
You could take every one of these topics that we've hit and do a session.
My objective for you guys, my objective here is to give very high level understanding of that one, not deeper strategy. So if you could focus, structure your answers accordingly, it would be helpful. Moving on, because SEO and you guys all talked about content, let's jump into the other aspect of digital marketing, which is content marketing. So Jeff, can you start, can you give us a very high level overview of what content marketing is, how it affects the front end and the back end of your website?
Yeah, so content marketing is a brilliant strategy that basically takes the expertise that you have as a company, right? And it forms it in a way that is appealing to what people are looking for. So that could be a series of articles, it could be a series of PDFs that you're sharing. I mean, content is a broad view of videos, those kinds of things. But you build this information and you make it available on your website in a way that allows people to find that content, and then that pulls them into you because you've now offered them value. That's one of the key conversations that we really haven't even touched on in this whole conversation about marketing, is that there has to be a value exchange between you and the prospect that pulls them into your company, that pulls them into the product that you're trying to sell. And if you can't establish value, then they're not going to pay attention to you, and your click ratios are going to go way down because people come and bounce off your website and don't pay any attention to you. So it's about paying attention to that buyer's journey and then creating the content that wraps around each of those particular steps along the way, giving them additional value that brings them to the point of wanting to buy from you.
Great.
I want to jump in off that, if that's okay. So, so Bill Gates, he wrote an essay in the 1990s, and the title was "Content is King." Content is king, and it really is. And I've heard it said, there was a quote that you can buy attention through advertising. So you can literally buy it, through TV or through digital marketing, whatever. You can beg for it through PR. So you can beg, like newspapers and magazines and blogs, or you can bug people one by one through sales. Or the last thing is you can earn attention by creating valuable content online and publishing it for free. So you can earn it by publishing it for free. And the best way to really show your professionalism is to give away free content. And so being able to do that with a news feed on your website or with an email blast that's providing free content that can help people, then people are going to see, wow, they're a pretty reputable resource. So content really is king. If you can offer free content, then you're going to gain a lot of value in that through people wanting to work with you.
Yeah, and part of that conversation is trust, establishing trust, right? So if you're sharing information that gives you valuable information and helps you in your decision-making process, then the trust level goes up. You just have to be careful that you don't give away the fun.
Right.
Yeah, and there is so many different kind of content. We're talking about content here. There's infographics, there is videos, there is a blog post you create, social media content, user-generated content. So for instance, when you have a blog, you're talking about certain topic and you have people commenting, those are user-generated content. So there's just so many content that you have to consider when you're thinking about content marketing.
Great. So we learned about the content. We learned about SEO, where we structure the content so you get found. The other couple items that I want to talk in combination, which is the email marketing and social media marketing, because we did talk a little bit about social media presence. Is social media marketing different than social media presence? And how is it connected to email marketing?
Yeah, a huge difference. There's a
Yeah,
huge
it's totally
difference.
different. Email marketing is totally different than social media marketing.
No, I would challenge that a little bit. Email marketing is definitely.
I'm talking about strategy wise, yeah.
Yeah, it's a different world than it was
Correct.
5 years ago, even 2 years ago.
So
Now you have to be so careful about how you publish.
One-
So that really kind of goes down to the whole conversation around establishing a relationship with your prospect as they move through that buyer's journey, right? And
Right.
email marketing is just one of those methods and touch points that you can utilize to pull them back into the conversation that you're having with them. So email marketing is a very, very important aspect of marketing, but it's one that you have to be very careful with in terms of how you actually execute it.
And if
You are the queen of social media marketing. So give us some pointers, give us some more insight on social media marketing.
was that directed to me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just want to touch on email marketing though quickly. So there was a juice shop in Honolulu that I went to, and they asked me to join their email subscription list, and I did it just for kicks. But and they did a really good job. And so what they would do is they would always give a 25% off coupon. They would give a new smoothie recipe that you could even make from home, and then they would give the beginning sentences of the latest blog on their website, so it would drive traffic to their website. And I did not unsubscribe for quite a while because I was getting relevant information even here in the States, back in Wisconsin, because they were giving these awesome smoothie recipes, and it was just it wasn't like they weren't screaming buy this and shop now, because those are the email marketing lists that you want to unsubscribe from really quickly. And it's so similar in social media marketing. Yes, strategy can be different, but at the same time, if you're screaming buy this, shop now with all of your posts, people are not going to like that page. They're definitely not going to click the see first button, or they're going to unfollow you. And so if you can share a little bit more insight into who you are as a company, and like Jeff said, build that trust. So building that trust through your professional work as well as even personally. So just yesterday on our image management Facebook page, we posted all of us in our costumes, which is just fun, but yet at the same time, earlier we had posted about this is a blog about SEO that you can learn from. And so making it relevant for clients, especially in the Kenosha and Racine area, people love the special interest posts. So people love to really get into who is this company really, what's this story behind this person and their family or whatever. And so if you can make those posts really actually fun to read, something that you would want to read, that's going to be good. And with different content creation I've done in the past, someone told me, if it's not fun to write, it's not going to be fun to read. And so that's so true when it comes to social media marketing. If it's fun to write it, then it's going to be fun for people to read it. And that's what's going to grow a following, especially in the local community.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of value exchange. Love it.
So we talk, so that interconnection between social media, content marketing, email marketing, they're all there may be different technology, but it's all about content and how it is presented, how it is made presentable, and how it is creating value for your
Yeah,
prospects.
and I'd say, Kiran, that everything is connected in this conversation. None of these things should be looked at separately, because you have to think of it as if they walked into your shop and you were having a conversation with them trying to sell them your product. That's what you're doing across the web. It's not a discrete thing. It's continuous from one end to the other, from one, and essentially you're buying every click, right? With a specific conversation that you're having with them along that buyer's journey. And that's a really important process to understand for your customers. What is that buyer's journey, right? The sequence of conclusions.
That leads me to the next digital marketing strategies, pay-per-click. Sounds expensive. What is it and how people can make sure that they don't end up paying?
Yep. Pay-per-click is the fastest way to lose all your money.
Yep.
I'll just make that statement up front. It's a very powerful mechanism, and if you've got all of the things that we've talked about put together right, it can. I mean, people generate thousands and millions of leads every day using that technology, but it's not something that you want to dump a lot of money. You want to have a very thoughtful process with that. You know, I'm going to, here's my, you have to come at it from a hypothesis perspective, right? My hypothesis is people are going to respond to this subject line this search term that I put into the website. My theory is that they're going to click on that and come to my website. And my further theory is that this web page that they land on is going to have the right information for them, and that they're going to click on the call to action for that particular page and go through that sequence of conclusions. That's my hypothesis, right? Does it work? Well, how much are you gonna wager that it's going to work? You have to look at it like that, right? So I'm going to bet $100 that over the next week I'm going to get 5 people to respond.
You have to be so careful.
Yeah.
You have to be careful, exactly. Or you can, I mean, instantaneously in seconds you can spend hundreds and thousands of dollars. It's just that dangerous.
Yeah, we have one client, and they are a travel organization, and they're a national travel organization. And so they asked us to help them with their digital marketing, and they were thinking we could do some pay-per-click. And when me and our SEO team looked at it, we were thinking, eek, we're going to be competing against some really big travel organizations.
$75 a click.
Right. So if you want to spend, $100,000 a month, then maybe we can gain some sort of traction. But instead, we thought, what's a way that they can grow their brand in a way that's going to get a lot of clicks to their website and would work better for them on a lower budget. So we did display ads instead. So display ads are picture ads, sharing a little bit more about the organization. And those are targeted too, as opposed to pay-per-click, when people are basically just going to click on a name that they know. In the travel sector, at least, and so that's why you have to be really careful about the type of industry and the location that you're targeting to. So if you're like, for example, Nim mentioned a roofer, let's say you're a Racine roofer. Could pay-per-click work well? It could work really well for you. Yeah, it could. But are you trying to sell to the whole world on something that's really a convoluted market? Then pay-per-click, unless you've got the money for it, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So
yeah, there's a term that we haven't used yet called long tail marketing, which is really critical when you're doing localized marketing. And that's where you, instead of searching for roofing, you go for roofing in Racine, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Or you might talk about commercial roofing or residential roofing. I mean, you start expanding out those keywords to get as narrow as you possibly can into the target market. Those become less costly because not many people bidding on roofing in Racine, and it gives you a better opportunity to refine things. And from just an overall strategy, I would say start small, gain experience, understand the terms that you're going after, who else is going after. Competitive research is a really important aspect of that, and find out who your competitors are in the market and how they're marketing. This is the digital world, so everything is visible. I can go to just about any web page, and if I want to see the search terms they're marketing on, I can do a right click and look at their meta tag, right? Or I can go and use a tool like SEMrush or one of those other types of tools that are out there that allow me to actually look at the activity that is coming to a website. It's very powerful stuff. But again, it's something you got to learn how to use.
Yeah. So again, boiling it down and looking at the first reaction of all three of you, if I'm a small business, definitely two things that I learned. One is don't do it yourself, especially not pay-per-click. I may end up paying too much. And then it could be a good strategy depending on my business, like the roofer or whatever, very specific, but do talk to one of the experts like you guys before even jumping into pay-per-click, right? Pay-per-click is when you pay when somebody clicks on your link on the search engine. And that's every time they click, you're going to pay. So it's
Kiran, I would like to add, as Jeff mentioned, so you're right. You're right to spend so much money on pay-per-click, but there's another, as Jeff earlier mentioned, they're all tied together. So once they click on the ad, you have to make sure that what landing page they're gonna land on. And if they click on that page and there is no call to action, or you're not generating any lead, you're not getting any lead, then your money is just gone, and you lost your money as well as your customer too. So it's very
if I click on roofing in commercial roofing in
land on a home page,
and I land on a home page,
yeah,
what am I going to do? What's my next action? I
if
don't know.
I'm looking for, let's say, metal roof, and then you put it on a metal roof like you're doing a paid advertising, click on a metal roof, and then you run on a home page, there's nothing about metal roof.
The back tab is the bane of marketing, of digital marketing. It's so easy to go back. Look at the next one.
So we just bringing the theme back in there repetitively here. So we definitely want to make sure that we have a good structured website. You may found on web search engines using SEO, create the right content so that it creates value for your target market, and then reach to that target market to additional aspects like social media marketing as well as email marketing, right? And then once you have that structure in works and you're confident about that, then maybe dabble into pay-per-click. That's where you started spending some money. Now,
yeah, pay-per-click is a great place to go, but you need to do it with understanding and intelligence as opposed to spray and pray.
Because if they click and they go to some place that it doesn't add value, you just wasted your money, right?
Yeah,
so,
it's a hypothesis, test, validate, rinse, repeat.
That brings me to one most important aspect of that one. And Jeff, you talked about multiple times, right? ROI. Before we even can jump to ROI, how do I measure the marketing analytics? Can you guys talk a little bit about marketing analytics, which is probably the fundamental technical aspects of understanding the return on your investment of digital marketing? What is it and how does it work to start with? And then what are the steps involved in really looking at marketing analytics?
Yes, so metrics and measurements has to be the foundation of your online strategy. Again, I was talking hypothesis, test. All that testing is to validate metrics that you have established, right? So the process starts with understanding your budgetary needs. I mean, I talked about it earlier in the process of what we're going. What's your budget and your ROI? It's a critical step to understand how much you're willing to gamble to acquire those particular leads. It's no different than if you're doing it in the newspaper. It's still the same thing, right? I'm betting $1,000 a month that I'm going to get enough leads to pay for the ad. It's the same thought process, only it's done in a digital way now. So you need to understand what you're willing to risk, and then you start looking for the metrics of how you're going to execute the campaign, right? And there's a million terms and things that you look at, like click-through rate and and all those kinds of things, cost per click, cost per action, cost per whatever. And so there's just a ton of those kinds of things to try to figure out how to go through. If I'm looking at it from Jeff's perspective of how do I do this as a small company with a limited budget, that's a very difficult challenge, because in order to get these things, you got to have the tools to do it. Now, some of it you can get free. You can do Google Analytics and all those kinds of stuff, and it'll show you some stuff. But there are, you know, a lot of skills needed in order to build an effective Google Analytics system that tracks your website. You've got to identify each page. You've got to think through the process of what's going to happen on each page, and you're looking at the analytics as it happens on each page. And you know, I'm getting good response on the first page, but I'm not getting anybody to the second page. Well, why is that? You got to look at the messaging that you had on that page, and is it right, and all that kind of stuff. So it's not simplistic, but it's something that's very achievable and actually very necessary if you're going to have an effective, cost-effective strategy.
Nim, how many of your, when you look at websites of existing customer, how many people don't even have Google Analytics set up?
Majority of them, because even they have a.
There's a reason for that.
Even they have their analytics set up, they never look at it. They comment, they say, I want to rank #1, and it doesn't work that way. Because, you know, I mean, if you're not gonna see what, if you not even have now what we do the automated reporting for them, so they get a bi-weekly or monthly reports, so they at least know what keywords are working and what page are ranking and all that information. But Kiran, to answer your question, yeah, not many clients. And when they look at the analytics and all that, even they go to dashboard, it scares them away. As Jeff mentioned, it's a huge learning curve there. Even PPC is a huge learning curve, because, you know, it's just not you just create an ad and then you forget, like, okay, how my ad doing? Because there's a constant A/B testing. When you do, you gotta create a 2-3 different ad, which is performing better, which is not performing. Based on that, you choose the right ad. And you gotta tweak it all the time. It's an ongoing process. It's not just you just do it and you forget about it. It's again, it's a steep learning curve.
I totally agree with that. It's like you have to work, you know, on your business as opposed to in your business, right? So
yeah, on your business, not in the business. Yeah, so you're right.
It's all about working on your business and understand. You know, one of the things that I was told early on in my career that I thought was really interesting is that, and this was told to me by a CEO who was very successful in what he was doing. He says the key job of the CEO is to boil the business down to as few knobs and dials as possible. I turn this knob up and I get more customers. I turn this knob down and my costs go down. And so it's very similar to what you're doing from a marketing strategy and trying to identify as few knobs and dials, you know, different channels, different campaigns and all that kind of stuff as possible that give me the maximum return on my investment. That's why testing is so important. Taking the same message across multiple channels and seeing which channels respond best to that message, and then tweaking and refining it all the time. I mean, you never end. It's not like a brochure, right? You create a brochure and you throw it out there in the market and you hope people respond to it, right? Well, digital, you can do that, and that's what most websites are actually, is just nothing but a digital brochure, and they just don't convert.
Again,
yeah, we recently did a display ad. We do lots of different marketing for our own company, Image Management, and one example of a display ad that did not work is we thought it'd be kind of funny to do something totally different and very off-brand actually, but we wanted to see how it would do. Is we had this cat with a cape on, and it was flying through the air, and it said something silly like grow your fly, let your business fly or something. I don't know what it was, like something so silly. And we looked at the actual ad and it was getting a lot of clicks, but it wasn't leading to any forms filled out. And so you can see if something like, well, yeah, people are clicking on it, but if no one's actually, people that are clicking on it aren't actually reaching out to us, and we're not actually working with them, then we got to stop that ad. And so that was a big learning experience. And we're like, well, we got to stay on brand. We can't do we can't do all these offshoots because it can be funny, but is it actually leading to sales? And so I'm glad that you guys brought that up.
Perfect example of the moniker, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Jeff, you had something?
If I could. So small business, startup business, I'm coming to any one of you. And I know this answer will vary greatly, but is there a percentage of my revenue that I should hold back to find my customers and close on my customers for my marketing? Is there a dollar amount I need to start up to build a productive web page that can be, that will work effectively in a search engine space? Is there a dollar amount that I should consider that should go to social platforms such as a Facebook or a Twitter or? So just, you're speaking to me as a small business startup, guide me. How much should I hold out for this?
So I would start that conversation with, what is the value of the transaction to you, right? Are you making 25 cents on each transaction? Or are you making $25,000? And that would guide how I spend my money. If I'm making a lot of money per transaction, then I've got some budget to spend on acquiring that lead. And then I'd also ask you, well, what can you afford to spend to acquire a prospect? What can you afford to spend to acquire a lead, and all those different things along the way, and then that guides the spending process, right? So if you can afford to spend a lot of money on a customer, then it's a different conversation. A customer I had recently sold these very expensive $15,000-$20,000 borescopes that would go in and look inside of engines and stuff like that, and they could afford to spend $1,500 to acquire a customer. They would be happy to do that all day long. So that gave us a lot of understanding in terms of being able to spend money to acquire that customer. But if you're
5 to 10% kind of range on something like that.
In that case, yeah. But I think it's going to be different across the different markets. Nim and Paige, I work very narrow, very few verticals at a time, and these guys are working very broadly, so they might have a better perspective on that specific answer, but I think you got the right direction.
You cover a lot of small businesses today in our markets. What percent of revenue are they putting on there?
Jeff, I would say, every business should have a marketing budget. That's for sure. And again, it depends on if you're new starting up, and our focus is right now starting up. Are we talking about or the overall general? So I'll talk about the startup. Startup business should have a really huge budget when starting a new business, especially for the marketing budget. In ongoing business, let's say after you establish the business, at least you should have 20% of the revenue goes towards the marketing. Even starting any new business, I would highly recommend that they should start with the organic and social media channels. And once they have revenue, then they can allocate more budget towards PPC, which is paid media. That's what I would suggest. But there's no set of particular number because it's based on business revenue. You can certain money you can allocate for marketing, but I would say 15 to 20% every business should allocate that money for marketing.
Paige?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. 15 to 20%. That's good. And it really does depend too on how you're doing as a business. Are you new or have you been around for a long time? And I mean, we're talking about digital marketing, but really still the best marketing that you can possibly have is word of mouth marketing. If we're talking about a Racine or a Kenosha company, you just want to get started on something. The best type of marketing is word of mouth marketing. Before we even started recording, what were we talking about? We're talking about pizza. Remember, we were talking about this type of place and that type of place. Where do you hear about that? Are you doing do you think that the pizza places in Racine have big digital marketing budgets? Probably not, but it's word of mouth. And so as a new business, if you can offer a really good product, that's going to be the main thing. Let's make sure that your product is really, really good. And let's make sure that you're really passionate about what it is that you do. So that's step one. And then from there, like Nim was saying, that 15 to 20% of really doing a good job with your digital marketing, that's going to be huge. Because if you're offering a good product as well as marketing yourself well online, just getting started, then you're going to be a lot more prepared in terms of being able to potentially see success.
Yeah, also,
The
if a lot of businesses are not even have a budget. We have a lot of small businesses we serve to, and they do not have any marketing budget. And I tell them, you spend all money on going to fancy restaurants and spending on buying a branded jeans, but this is for your business. If you spend that, you can take so many vacations. But it's really all small businesses need to understand that their priority is marketing budget has to be 15 to 20%. Even more is better, I would suggest, because that's what's gonna bring the business.
Guys, it's almost around 40. So we've been talking about this one. Definitely few things I've learned in this discussion. One is, most important thing is, each one of these channels, we probably should have a separate full session so that we can walk people through what to do, what not to do, and all of the things. We really cannot bring full justice to all these channels to a short discussion like this.
Yeah, and I'd recommend that like Jeff has been chiding us here, is have a perspective that is startup and small company focused, as opposed to big company, big money, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, good. So we would definitely do that. Jeff, any other questions before I go to closing?
Well, the piece we didn't quite make it to, which I think is a follow-up topic, is when people think of digital marketing, then you think of Google searches, you think of Facebook, you think of Twitter, you think of the different social media platforms, and then what makes them work? There's a science to it. How do I understand that as a business owner? Who do I work with to make that work? And which one is more valuable for the products and services I offer? Yeah. So that's probably a transition to the next discussion that isn't today, but I think that's the one we should follow up on.
Definitely. That's how basically we structure for each of the individual channels, and then cover two. So we'll work with people like Paige, Neem, and Jeff, and a few other businesses in Kenosha and Racine Market, and bring in even more guests to discuss those aspects. Coming back down to using the digital strategy for yourself or for your own business. So I'm going to ask each one of you, maybe if you can give me one success story, either it could be your own business or one of your clients that you recently helped using digital marketing. And I'll start with you, Nim.
Yeah, we have helped so many clients with digital strategy. So when it comes to when client come in, all their goal is to get more business. Obviously, they don't know how they're gonna get it, and they say, yeah, they wanna do search engine optimization. They have some kind of a knowledge about that. They can spend money on, but they don't know the strategy. So that's where we come in the picture. We have created strategy for two businesses. One is local here, and one is in Milwaukee. And one is 33 business that we have really great success with the SEO optimization and digital strategy. So one business we strategized with them, or we revamped their complete website with the right keywords and search engine optimization, obviously to help them rank better. And the other component we did is a social media presence. What way we did is based on, see, as Jeff had a question that every channel is different. So you're right. You could be a fitness business where you can be on Facebook, highly engaged in Facebook. You can go on Instagram. Those are, but for other industry, let's say you're a professional industry, the LinkedIn is great media. So we created the LinkedIn profile for them and created a lot of content there, promoted content, and they have landed so many accounts from those strategy. So that's one strategy I would suggest. And for the another fitness business, we have created a strategy for them, and I'm going to share the strategy with you. So for fitness business, what we create strategy is again, as Jeff mentioned, there's so many different corners that we haven't even touched. So I was talking about the influence marketing. So we're doing the influence marketing for them, but we are not hiring or appointing any big influencer. But what we are doing is we are having a micro influencer. For instance, when some people have 1,000 followers or 2,000 followers, those are the influence we are going after, that have them talk about this program and how they become successful. So making them a witness, and then creating this content and bringing those people in. So again, it's different business, different strategy. So that's how we help businesses achieve land out clients and more leads. Hope I answered your question, Kieran.
Yeah, I'm also looking at the outcome of that one. And for example, I know we talked about earlier before this meeting, is that one customer example that you gave. That was a company in Racine, very old, over 100 years in business. They were actually seeing the revenue down. They had no digital strategy, but after they started with digital marketing, their revenue actually started going up. They landed up one of their largest order only through LinkedIn, right? So
correct, yeah. Also, they have landed few clients from all the way from New York through the search engine optimization, and that they have never envisioned before. They're like, oh my God, they were so surprised, like they have never pictured it. And another client that they have landed through the, again, search engine optimization. We didn't do any social media marketing, just we applied the search engine strategy, and they have landed a huge account, which is a Walmart. And they were so happy that they landed through because we have trained them. We have trained their salesperson. So it's like really go deep and down. We trained their salesperson to how to maybe get the again, learning curve, Google Analytics, and he was good at it, and he learned all strategy, how to navigate and where the clients are coming from, what people are visiting, what area they're visiting from. Based on that, he learned that what client landed on their website and then who client they were by geographically targeting. And he learned that this is the Walmart client who landed from the website. So it's really good to have a good strategy that way you can measure your ROI, as well as you can see the key performance indicators from, is it the SEO working, is it PPC working, is it social media advertising working. So it's really combined tight, but those were very successful story that he landed a Walmart client, another client landed from New York. So it really works, and digital strategy does work.
Can you give us some hope that actually 15-20% of that investment does pay back? Can you give some example of your clients where that
Was that me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. One example that we have is there's a big event that happens every year in Milwaukee, and I'm not going to share the event, but it brings a lot of people from around the US, and they hired us to help them with their marketing. And they said, this is our budget. And it was a pretty large budget, and we work with small businesses as well as, big organizations. And this particular big event had a big budget. And they said, we don't know what to do. And the last marketing company, it just didn't really work out. And they even said that our board, none of us really saw a whole lot of advertisements for this particular event. And you'd think that we would at least see some of where this money was going. And so we took very good care of them, and we did a whole lot. We did quite a plethora of ads that were very specific to that particular, target market. And so we did a little bit of social media, and we also did a lot of display ads and retargeting ads. We actually did a little bit of PR for them too. And we did do some pay-per-click as well. But so we did a lot, and it really worked out for their benefit. They were just wowed by the response that they were getting from what we were able to do with the budget that another marketing company in the area, they kind of allowed it to they just kind of floundered with it. And I don't think that they created a strong strategy prior that they figured would actually work. And so the online world isn't going anywhere, and digital marketing is growing, growing, growing. It's the fastest growing type of advertising. And so if you can be as strategic as possible and learn as much as you can now, because it's not going to be, this isn't fading away. It's only going to grow. And so I'm really glad that, Nim and Jeff and I were able to be a part of this as professionals in this area, because we are very open and we would love to work with you, even if it is just a consultation to help. How is it that we can grow your business effectively in the area? And I do have to get going in about 5 minutes, so I just want to mention that.
I'm closing it. So, Jeff?
Okay, so when you start talking about numbers and stuff like that, it's very difficult to share stories because it's secret sauce, right? Especially with what some of the stuff that I've been working with on. But I can give you some general perspective on it. So one of the target areas that we were involved in was in auto sales. And it's a highly competitive market. And there's this thing called conquest auto sales, which is where you as a dealership are stealing customers from another dealership. So we're using the identity resolution technology. We were able to identify people that came to a particular website looking for a particular type of car. And then we were able to follow them around the web, bringing them back to the website until they actually made a purchase. And there was some pretty significant savings that they realized there in terms of conversion rates were going up like 200, 300%. They were seeing the number of conquest auto sales increasing dramatically. And that's because they were able to identify the intent of the prospect, right? And then be able to follow them on social media or different websites. And that connected into display advertising and all kinds of different channels. So you're doing multi-channel. That's really one of the most powerful things about digital marketing is when you can go multi-channel. So they find you through a search term or through an ad. They come to your website. You still don't know who they are, right? But with the identity resolution, I can identify who they are, and then I track the pages that they visited on your website, and then I can take them back to those pages into the next step in that conversation that we talked about before. So it can be very, very powerful. And there's lots of examples of that across the industry of how people are using that technology.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Nim. Thank you, Paige. This was very interesting, very lots of knowledge. Definitely, as I promised, we will come back and have individual channels and a session for each one of them. So we will be able to define them and help all the small business owners to adapt them possibly. And best part was all of you were able to give me the proof of the pudding. Yes, invest the money and you will get return. So that's a good news for any business person. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. We would have this program on our website and YouTube. And we will also put the contact information for each one of you on that one so that people would know how to contact you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Fun time.
Thanks.
Go enjoy the sunshine.
Yep. All right.
All right.
See you, Cinderella.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Guys. Bye.